All right, let's talk about a pricing strategy that seems to break all the rules. It's called anchor pricing, and it's all about the psychology of how we figure out what something is worth, and, more importantly, how that perception can be guided so that your customers not only buy from you, but they feel incredibly smart for doing it.
So let's start with this. The number one mistake in pricing is thinking that if you just lower your price, you'll sell more. But what if I told you the best way to sell your $297 product is to put a big, flashy $1,000 option right next to it, an option you never even expect to sell? Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's the paradox we're going to unpack. We're all taught that cheaper is better, but that ignores a much bigger force at play in our brains: relativity. The trick isn't to change your price, it's to change the entire conversation around it.
So here's our roadmap. We'll start with that pricing paradox, then we'll dig into its surprising origins, and I'll show you the core mechanism that makes it all work. After that, we're going to go inside the buyer's mind. I'll lay out the exact blueprint for you, and we'll wrap up with a totally new way to think about pricing.
Okay, so why do we even need a strategy like this? Well, it all starts with something called the crisis of commoditization. You know what I mean? It's when you're shopping for something and every option has pretty much the same features. They all start to blend together. And when that happens, what's the only thing companies can think to compete on? Price. And that just starts a race to the bottom, where nobody makes any money and everything feels cheap.
This is where we have to flip the problem on its head. The real issue isn't your price tag. It's that jolt of sticker shock a customer feels. See, we all walk around with this invisible ruler in our heads, an internal scale of what things should cost. And if your price lands way too high on their personal ruler, you've lost them before you can even make your case. So the goal isn't to lower your price. The goal is to change their ruler. This is a perception game, not a numbers game.
So where did this brilliant, almost sneaky idea come from? You might think it was cooked up in some high-powered marketing boardroom, but you'd be wrong. The answer actually came from the world of behavioral economics. It's based on groundbreaking research into how predictably irrational our minds can be. That's why it's so powerful. This isn't just a sales trick, it's a strategy built on a fundamental truth about how we're all wired.
The whole thing really kicked off back in 1974. Two legendary psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, published their research on a cognitive bias they called anchoring. For a long time, it was just this fascinating idea in academic circles. But then, in the 2000s, companies like Apple became masters at it. I mean, think about it. How did they convince us to pay so much for the very first iPhone? Anchoring played a huge part, and today, it's everywhere. It's become a standard playbook for pretty much any software or e-commerce company out there.
So what exactly is this anchoring effect? Well, it's our brain's tendency to grab onto the very first piece of information it gets and use it as a reference point for everything that follows. That first number becomes the anchor. In their famous experiment, Kahneman and Tversky showed that even a random number from a spinning wheel could influence what people guessed for a totally unrelated question. It's that powerful. The anchor doesn't just give us information, it builds the entire frame through which we see the decision.
Now that we've got the science down, let's pop the hood and see how this engine really works. How do you turn this little mental quirk into a powerful pricing strategy? Well, at its core, it's a very deliberate two-step dance designed to lead a customer to a decision, all while making them feel like they're in complete control.
And it really is this simple. Step 1, you establish the anchor. You put that expensive $1,000 option out there first. Remember, you're not trying to sell it. You're using it to plant a flag, to set a high watermark in the customer's mind. The second they see that number, their internal ruler for value gets completely reset. And that leads directly to step 2, relative comparison. Now their brain isn't asking, is $297 a lot of money? No, the question in their head is totally changed. Now it's, wow, how great is this $297 deal compared to that $1,000 one? And this right here, this is the payoff. When you just show your product by itself, your sales are basically a coin toss. It all depends on that customer's pre-existing idea of value. But when you introduce that high anchor, you're not guessing anymore. You are setting the terms. And as you can see, the conversion rate for your target product just shoots up. Why? Because you've transformed it. It's no longer a big expense, it's a smart, savvy bargain. So, we know it works. But to really master this, you have to understand why it works so darn well. We need to go a little deeper and look at the mental shortcuts our brains are using all day, every day. Anchor pricing isn't about fighting human nature, it's about flowing with it. The biggest idea at play is simply relativity. And really, it's how we make sense of the world. Think about it. How do you know if a room is hot? You compare it to how it felt outside. How do you know if a car is fast? You compare it to other cars.
We are just terrible at judging things in a vacuum. Our brains are comparison machines. We need context to make a judgment. The anchor provides that context, instantly and powerfully.
This whole strategy also taps directly into how our brain is structured. Think of it like you have two operating systems. System 1 is your fast brain. It's your gut instinct, it's emotional, it's automatic. System 2 is your slow brain. It's logical, analytical, and takes effort. The anchor is designed to speak directly to that fast, emotional brain. It sees the high price and immediately has a gut reaction. Whoa, that's a lot! It effectively bypasses the slow, rational brain that would start asking pesky questions like, do I really need all these features?
And there's one more psychological trigger at play here, and it's a big one: loss aversion. As humans, we are wired to hate losing things much more than we enjoy gaining them. So when a customer sees that $1,000 anchor, for a split second, they feel the potential loss of that money. So by choosing the $297 option instead, their brain doesn't just register it as a purchase, it registers it as avoiding a huge loss, and that feels like a win. It makes them feel smart, and it gets rid of that hesitation we all feel before buying something. Okay, so we've covered the why and the how. Enough theory. Let's get down to brass tacks and turn this into a practical, step-by-step framework. Because knowing the psychology is one thing, but actually putting it to work effectively is another. There are a few simple rules you've got to follow.
Okay, rule number 1. Your anchor has to be credible. You can't just slap $1 million price tag on it for no reason. It has to be justified, tied to real, premium features. Rule number 2, and this is absolutely critical, you have to control the viewing order. The first price they see is the anchor, period. For most of us, that means putting it all the way on the left. And finally, rule number 3, you have to make your target product the obvious hero. Use visual cues, a different color, a bigger box, or that classic most popular banner. Guide their eyes right to it.
And here is what it all looks like in the wild. You've seen this page 1,000 times, right? That big, beefy enterprise plan is sitting right there on the left at $1,000. That's our anchor. Then your eyes slide over to the Pro plan. It's highlighted, it's called Most Popular, and hey, it has almost all the same features for way, way less. Even that little basic plan on the right is doing a job. It makes the Pro plan look like an even better deal. Every single pixel on this page is engineered to make that $297 price tag feel like the smartest choice you could possibly make.
And this number right here, this is the magic. This is the real transaction that's happening in the customer's head. They don't feel like they are spending $297, they feel like they are saving $703. You've completely reframed the experience. It's not a cost, it's a massive discount. And that feeling is what gets them to click buy.
So let's pull all this together, because it really forces us to rethink what a price even is. We tend to think of it as a fixed number, a simple fact. But after looking at this, it's clear that's not right. Price isn't just a number. It's a communication tool. It's the beginning of a story you tell your customers about value.
And if you remember only one thing from this, make it this. Price is not what you charge, it's what you show first. That anchor is the opening line of your story. It sets the scene, it frames the entire narrative. And by doing it right, you turn your target product from just another expense into the hero of that story, the smart, safe, and obvious choice. You're not just selling a product, you're selling them confidence in their decision.
Ultimately, that's what this is all about. The best marketing isn't about forcing people to buy. It's about pulling them toward a decision that feels good, a decision that feels like a bargain. Anchor pricing is one of the most elegant ways to do that because it taps into the very wiring of our brains. It proves that to sell more, you don't always need a lower price. You just need a better story. And that story always begins with the anchor.